We'll have a brief look at the Kenwood KAS 10 software. This software has now been superseded by Kenwood's KAS 20. Kenwood KAS 20 is almost an enterprise level software, many bells and whistles. The KAS 10 is entry level, but it has all the essential things we want, and it also has some other benefits or features which some of the more expensive dispatching solutions don't have. So on the essentials list we had mobile station list. We can see that on the left here, this window. We can do call and dispatch. We can select a particular unit. We can make a call to it. We can send a text message to it. We have a text history window here, so it'll show the various texts that have been sent previously. We have some canned messages or predefined messages. We can send various status messages. We can also do remote monitoring of the radio or a radio. We can ask for position updates. We can ask for updates on the status message or the status of a radio. In the show and track window, we can select a particular radio we would like to have presented at the center of the map continuously. So when we're tracking, say, Waitanuri staff radio, wherever it goes, it will always be the center of the screen on the map. We can ask to be shown the position of the radio real time now. So there's Waitanuri staff, and he is in the center of this window. We go back to show and track, and we'll track another radio. We'll make it Will. Track the mobile station. We'll show Will. We'll see that Will's in the center of this window. Base station transceiver control. If we want to control the radio that is connected to the gateway, we can do various things here. If we were using the software, this dispatch software, for actual dispatching using voice through the computer, this screen or this window becomes a lot more useful. In the current configuration, it's not doing a lot for me. We can look at the activity history. This window shows us all the activity since the software was turned on. With Windows these days, we're turning computers off and on a weekly basis typically because of the Windows updates. You might have noticed just then a GPS update came through. We've got different ways of presenting the GPS data. We can see the GPS data come from Waitanuri staff, 39 degrees, 43.0768 minutes south, 176 degrees, 38.1888 minutes east. Hope I said that right. 176 degrees, 38.1888 minutes east. We can also see the GPS data presented on the map. We can present maps. We can use maps in different ways. These look like topographical maps, but they're actually electronically scanned versions of the topographical maps. We can have customer supplied JPEGs imagery. This is Cabbage Tree Flat, a fairly large farm, Waimarama Beach here on the left, Waimarama Township. Customer supplied me with this, so I started setting up a system for it. It hasn't progressed as yet. Once again, this is just a scanned image of a topographical map. All the audio is recorded. All the GPS positions are recorded. They're stored in log files, so they are retained when the software is turned off and restarted. It's still retained there. There's quite a few things we can set up here, and typically an administrator would be setting these things up, or somebody like myself. A key one typically is geofences. I'll just go back to some of this imagery before we go into geofences. This is satellite imagery of a particular house. So this is a farm worker's house, and this comes in important for geofencing for health and safety. So we'll go into the setup of the geofence option. So we look at the corner house one I set up for it previously. There we go. So this is the geofence around a corner house, or around the particular house I showed you before. So this is on a farm, and applicable possibly too for a quarry owner and a quarry manager if the manager is living in a company supplied house. So when the farm worker enters this geofence area and turns his radio off in here, he is no longer the concern of the farm owner. The worker has now signed himself off effectively. So when he's outside this area with his radio on, he is then the concern of the farm owner or farm manager. Ahuriri station, this is a Landcorp station. It has some peculiarities. So here's the geofence for the whole station, and when radios outside that area then come into the area, the first GPS update they do, there's a text message goes back to the radios advising the user to check the speed. Another place more specific on the farm, where in terms of specific, there's a specific hazard. Whoever put the S in Lisp was really mean. So saltworms are a peculiarity of this particular farm. Saltworm lumps, because the farm is predominantly below sea level, then we have these saltworms and they make lumps in this area. So we make a geofence around the actual hazard, and any radios coming into this area and doing an update receive a text saying hazard, saltworm lumps 5 kilometers per hour. So this is just a way of reinforcing awareness of the hazards on some of these places. We can also play back various events. As I mentioned before, we can play back the audio, or we can play back the GPS coordinates. If you look down the bottom here, you'll see a green light indicating that the COM3 is active. COM3 is where the GPS is the way we communicate from the gateway to the radio. When I start playing the data back, that's now changed, so we're no longer recording. Now, that's a limitation with the software. It's entry-level software. More expensive software won't do that. So looking at the top here, we can select date and time of what we want to play back. We can select what mobiles we want to play back, how long we will spend on each GPS update. We can do a time check, see how long it's going to take. Just less than 3 minutes. I think we can do that. So we'll make a start, and we're going to see some events here. So we're going to see radios moving around quite quickly, bearing in mind that we're only spending 1 second on each position. We're also going to see a radio going into emergency. Now this is a staff member's radio. It goes into emergency because he's travelling on his side by side, and the noise of the side by side, he doesn't hear his radio start beeping at him. So we'll see that happening. Now when in real time, when an emergency occurs, there's a big red window pops up on this software, and there's a siren sound comes out of the speaker. We can also externally couple that to auto dialers or have radios doing various things. So it isn't just limited to what we see on the screen. We can have external interfaces as well. So we can see the radio. We can see the radios moving around, and watching the staff member radio up here, very soon it's going to go into an emergency. There it is there. And he probably takes it out of emergency by turning it off and on. We can tell that it's back on again. We didn't see the off. I'm not certain why there. I'm not going to dwell on it. These radios are set for 15-minute updates. So every 15 minutes they will do an update of their position. However, turning that off quickly, we have the ability with the software to write to the radios. The radios are using auto reporting options, so we can send an update, or we can update any of the timings on these radios. Might make that 900 seconds. So 900 seconds, 300 seconds is 5 minutes, 900 seconds is 15 minutes, so it's already doing 15 minutes, I know that. So we might make it 600, so it'd be every 10 minutes. And we can send that update through, and we're actually reprogramming the radio over the air. Now it's a feature that isn't available on all radio brands, and when you mix radio brands with other brands of dispatching software, even if the radio can do it, there's a good chance that when you marry the two of them together you'll lose that feature. So this is Kenwood software, and it works on the Kenwood radios. We can actually write to the radios and dynamically update various features on the radio. We also can export the data as it comes in to the a file in the internet to a server. So the next video we'll look at that.